Hi, Zillow Premier Agents. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope everybody is safe and well while we are all navigating these unprecedented times. My name is Betty Lee. I'm a Senior Manager for Zillow Premier Agent Sales, and I'm here today to show you how you can win the first conversation with buyers through this new virtual world that we're all living in right now. Today, we'll be covering strategies and talking points and how you can manage your clients in a virtual world. Including the take a tour option where they can tour a property, whether it is virtually or in person. Depending on the part of the country that you're in, you may have different guidelines and restrictions. And lastly, we will end with some key takeaways and Q&A. Before we start, I want to take a minute to recognize that this is a lot to take in, and it's a lot of change in a short period of time. In order to support our partners during these difficult times, we recently launched Better Together to provide additional resources for you to continue nurturing your clients, as well as providing financial relief on your Zillow Premier Agent investment. We will continue to drive new ways to support our Zillow Premier agents. So please reach out to us if you have any questions about the resources available to you as a Zillow Premier agent. Some of these resources include our Zillow Premier Agent Resource Center, where you can find the latest COVID-19 information. Go to www.zillow.com/agent-resources to find out more. We'll also be sending a follow-up email to all of you with this link and more for you to have. Now let's talk about how you can adapt to managing new and current clients in a virtual world. The home search and buying process is moving online, and we all have to adapt. Take a Tour has always been a great way to engage with interested buyers, and it still is. Based on the new normal presented by the current climate, we've updated the Take a Tour process. Now, buyers are able to request a tour in person or have a video tour. They can still select a date to tour a property, but we've removed the option from the buyer to select a time for the submission form, which will give you better flexibility in scheduling a time for the buyer to take a virtual or in-person tour. We have also included a public health advisory for the buyer to comply with public health orders in their city, county, or region. To better support you during this time of social distancing, we've given the buyer the option to request a tour, a property either in person or virtually. Once they've chosen one or the other, it creates a connection. The connection specialist will then reach out to the buyer to confirm that they are available to speak with an agent and they are looking to buy. Once we've confirmed these 2 points, the connection specialist will then connect you live by phone with the buyer to discuss the next best steps in their home shopping process. There is a specific phone number that we will be calling you when we have a buyer who's live on the phone and is ready to speak with an agent. We will be calling from the following phone number, so please make sure that you save the following number. It's area code 206-539-0456. Make sure that you have this number saved in your phone as Zillow Connections, and definitely make sure you answer it when we call, because that means we have a buyer who's live and ready to speak with you, and this increases your chance of conversion. Some buyers may decide to postpone their home search, but those who need to move quickly, whose maybe leases are ending soon or their families are growing, they still need an agent to help them. Reassure buyers that you can help them during this virtual world from end to end. This way you can build their confidence in you and in the process. Let them know that you have tools and strategies for every phase of the process, from initial inbound to final signature. Now let's talk about how to have that first conversation. Let's focus on the first part of this home search, building rapport during the first conversation. Even now, you can build rapport with your clients by putting a virtual twist on the ALM framework. If you're not familiar with ALM, this framework stands for appointment, location, and motivation. We interviewed some of the top converting Zillow Premier Agent teams in the country, and they gave us their strategies on how they win their first conversations with Zillow leads. We put all their strategies into our Zillow Premier Agent conversion playbook, which you can find in the Zillow Premier Agent Resource Center. There are many strategies included in the conversion playbook, but today, in this session, we will be focusing in on the ALM framework. So A stands for appointment. Always ask for the appointment. The goal should always be to secure an appointment with your connections, whether it's in person or a live video tour or a debrief together of a recorded tour. Why? Well, asking directly and upfront helps agents secure the appointment 80% of the time. And from the buyer's perspective, they immediately get what they are requesting for and they associate you with the action. Now, keep in mind, if you request a video tour, the buyer may not, if you get a request for a video tour, the buyer may not always know what that means. So here are some do's and some don'ts. Do start the conversation with confidence by delivering a strong introduction. Use the ALM framework. Second, always put the buyer at ease by explaining touring options available in your market. And lead with empathy to build a human connection. So the following don'ts. Don't push the buyer towards an in-person tour when they're looking for a recorded video. Don't feel like you need to work out all the details of the video recording on the call. Instead, use this session in order to follow up. And don't forget to schedule a time to meet, either for the tour or discuss any recordings you sent over. And L's for location. Find out what other properties they're interested in. You can help them see other properties with pre-recorded videos or virtually. This positions your value and also shows them that they don't need to call around to get help with other properties because you've got it covered. Additionally, you should also always attempt to schedule multiple showings, whether that's in person or virtually. A quick and easy scripting to remember is, are there any other properties you've been looking at? I'd be happy to arrange tours for those as well. And lastly, M is for motivation. Ask what they like about the property. Finding what they like about the property helps you find more homes that fit their criteria. Finding their motivation for moving helps you understand their time frame and priorities for a home. And it's also a great way to build rapport. So what do you do at the end of the call? It's also a good idea to text the buyer right after the call. This way it opens up the communications over text message and they can ask any additional questions that are fresh in their mind. And if you're sending the client a pre-recorded video, make sure to secure your follow-up meeting to go over the questions. Do this by scheduling a video call and also remember to make sure that you're letting them know which video conferencing app that you're using. There are several ways to give a virtual tour. First off, there's the live video call. You can set up Zoom, FaceTime, or another video conferencing app where you can do a virtual walkthrough. There's also a recorded tour where you can record a walkthrough and send it to your buyer to watch. And lastly, there's the Zillow 3D Home Tour, which you can download for free and create 3D home images that lets the buyer click through and see as if they are walking through the listing. Okay, so how do you prepare for a video tour? Well, before you start recording, you have to prepare. Here are some tips. First, you want to practice with a mock tour. This is a great way to become familiar with the home so that you're more likely not to skip out on any information or important details of the home, and you can also practice what you need to say. And second is limit the potential distractions. Before you're about to record or live stream, make sure that you turn off all notifications for text messages or any of your phone apps that you have on your phone. And you always want to be fully engaged and attentive in the video, just as you would during the in-person open house. And third, determine which features you want to highlight. Before you begin, take a walk through the house and pretend you're streaming live. Make sure you're panning up and down the walls, go through the garage and the backyard, and don't forget the beautiful view of the neighborhood. And some other key things to keep in mind are to constantly offer context about the house, discuss key aspects of the property, and offer your knowledge of the home in order to keep your clients very engaged and help keep your brand stick out. As we close, I want you to keep in mind that these are strategies that you can use even when things go back to normal. How so? Well, you may have a client that live in another state or another country, or you can also keep your client's home search moving when they're out of town. You're basically adding a new level of service to a customer first mentality. So remember that taking the time to understand your customer's needs and preferences will help you stand out in your virtual or in-person appointment. And it's a great way to build rapport. And it also shows that you're confident that you can help them with their home search virtually if they need that. And conduct your virtual meetings just as you would an in-person one. I hope all of you found a lot of value from everything that I spoke about. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact your Zillow representative. And from all of us at Zillow Group, we thank you for being a partner, and stay safe, stay well. We are in this together and we are better together. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to go ahead and transition into the Q&A portion of this webinar where I will be answering your questions. But first, I'd like all of you to meet Emily Bates. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Betty.
Emily is the Business Operations Manager for Zillow Premier Agent, and Emily makes sure that the Zillow Premier Agent sales teams and our Zillow Premier Agent partners have the right tools and resources in order to operate effectively and efficiently. We're first going to answer your questions that you had submitted ahead of time, and then we're going to go into the questions in the Q&A feature of this conference. So off to the right-hand side of your screen, if you look on the Blue Jeans app, on the right-hand side, you'll see Q&A. Go ahead and type in your questions. Make sure that they are relevant to the topics that we just talked about today. And since the webinar is currently being viewed by a lot of you across the country, we will do our very best to get to as many questions as possible, depending on how much time that we have left. So let's go ahead and get to it. Ellie, what's the first question that we have?
Thank you, Betty. And I first just want to say hello to all of you Zillow Premier Agents. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Betty, for hosting this session. I think it's a really unique opportunity for us to be able to hear your expertise of being a senior manager with Zillow Premier Agent Sales. And I know these are topics that you and your team are discussing with our partners every single day. Love that we're all able to hear from you on these insights together today. So I want to make sure, as Betty mentioned, we cover as many of your questions as we can, and we'll start with the ones that came in advance of this event. So first, we have Jose in Wayne, New Jersey, who's asked us, how do I overcome initial objections and get the first appointment virtually?
That's a great question, Jose. And earlier, we spoke about ALM, so appointment, location, motivation. You want to focus first on getting to know the buyer first, rather than just focusing on the property. The more rapport that you build with the buyer, the greater trust that they will have with you. And you want to know like what motivates them to buy and why the timing is right now for them, and also why that location. After setting an appointment to speak, an easy way to make it a virtual appointment is to ask the buyer, are you going to be behind the computer at 3 o'clock? And if the buyer says, yes, I will, then you can say, great, I'm going to send over a Zoom link so this way we can meet over video. And there are some buyers who may not have a camera on their laptop or whatnot. It's okay. As long as they can see you, that is the most important thing. And the second most important thing, which we mentioned earlier, is that you want to make sure that you both are on the same video conferencing app whether it's FaceTime, whether it is WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger if you two are friends, or even Zoom. Just make sure they know how to get a hold of you at that time.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And remember, everyone, that these are tips you can apply even outside of a virtual environment. Appointment, location, motivation should always be the focus of the conversation with clients on the first call. Let's go on to our next question. Andrew in Ozone Park, New York asked us, will there be any future billing relief?
Thanks for your question, Andrew. And we're always evaluating the market, and we'll continue to do so. We hope that the recent billing relief has helped all of you in some way in these unprecedented times. And as for future billing relief, please reach out to your Zillow representative for any updates.
Yes, exactly. And if you don't know how to reach us, we are going to be sending you all a recap email after this event, and it does include a phone number that you can contact us at. Our next question is, Michelle in Los Angeles, California asked us, how can I leverage the Zillow 3D home tour during my listing presentation? Can I download the 360 video and show it to potential clients?
That is an excellent question, Michelle. And I'm so happy to see that you're being creative and also exploring our Zillow 3D home tour app. No, you can't download it. However, the 360-degree video is absolutely shareable. And as we noted before, it's fast to use, it's easy to use, and it's also free. So here's how you do it. Here's how you share it. Well, after recording the 3D home tour on the Zillow 3D home tour app, you can find your collection of 3D images in your 3D dashboard at www.zillow.com/my-3D-homes. And you'll find a collection of all your 3D tours there. We group them up by the listing. So you can't download the videos. However, you can share tours via the links that we give you. So one link will have the entire listings 3D tours that you created, and you can share that link via LinkedIn, via Facebook, Twitter, even your MLS. And when the buyer clicks on it, it'll make it as though they'll feel as though they're inside the home. And in these times of social distancing, that is an incredibly creative way to help the buyer basically unlock life's next chapter. You can find out more about how to create your own 3D home tours for free at www.zillow.com/marketing/3D-home. Great question.
Perfect. Thanks, Betty. That's a great tip to include this technology and really any other tips we learned in the session and the listing presentations. Showing potential clients that you're armed with the right tools and can quickly adapt in this changing environment will, of course, help set you apart from your competition right now. Let's go on to our next question. This is a question from Ken in Southport, Connecticut. How do I upload 3D home tours using a Droid?
Well, thanks for your question, Ken. Right now, the Zillow 3D Home Tours app is currently only compatible for iOS. So that means iPhone and also your iPad. If there are any other updates in the future, we will let you all know.
Perfect. Thanks for clarifying that for us, Betty. Let's move on to some of the questions that are coming in right now. So we have a question, if it's not your listing, the videos and virtual tours are now branding with the listing agent's company and contact info. How does this work?
Let me look at this question again. Can you repeat that one more time?
Of course. So if it's not your listing, the videos and virtual tours are branding with the listing agent's company and contact info. How does this work? So this is on the agent list, I believe they're referring to.
Okay. Okay, got it. So thank you so much, Karen, for your question. So you're asking if it's not your listing, the videos and virtual tours are now branded with the listing agent's company and contact information. Oh, I see. Okay. So if it is not your listing, so you're talking about you receiving a buyer lead off of a listing where the video and virtual tours are part of that listing agent's listing. If I understand that correctly. Well, advice around this is more for your own listings and driving value there. So work with the listing agent to get the listing video directly for your buyer so you can send directly to your buyer. So we recommend in your own listing videos, introducing yourself or ending the call with your own branding. Hope that answers your question, Karen.
Perfect. I think that clarified it. And we have another one about video tours as well. So how does a seller set up a video of their home for a video tour for a buyer to view?
Absolutely. So that is an absolutely great question, Rakaya. Thank you so much for submitting. And how that works is the Zillow 3D Home app is actually accessible to anybody. So that means if you are representing a seller, the seller can download that app and take a 3D home images all over that, their home. And then they can upload to your listing on your behalf, especially in these social distancing.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out, just that it is likely most realistic for the seller sometimes to be conducting the 3D home tour video, especially if they're still residing in the home when you're putting it up as a listing. So thank you, Rakaya, for your question. Another just tip of advice with that one is sometimes it is much easier to just have them record a video using the camera app. So on any smartphone, if they don't have access to another type of technology or you don't, then sometimes that's an easier way to go. And then they can just send you the video that way.
Absolutely. Good points.
Now we have another question here. How do I access the Zillow 3D Home app?
Okay, well, you can go to, so as stated before, this is compatible for iOS only. And you go ahead and go to the App Store and find it under Zillow 3D Home Tour. And it is a yellow logo, and essentially it'll be listed as Zillow 3D Home Tour. And then download it from there.
Perfect. Okay, that's all of the questions that we have so far. So we will stay online for a couple more minutes in case you have any last minute pressing questions. But thank you again all for joining, and thank you, Betty, for hosting. Takeaway, I think, are let's focus on appointment, location, and motivation when we're speaking with a client on the first call. I think if you're to take away a couple of key points from this session, that's one of them, as well as all of the tools and technology at your fingertips that you can use to maximize connecting with your clients virtually in this time.
Absolutely. And while we're waiting for more questions, just to add, great questions on the 3D Home Tour apps and the use of it. And we have heard a lot of great successes from sellers who are creating 3D home tours within their homes and essentially working with their Zillow Premier agents in order to get them onto the listing. And essentially buyers are seeing them online. It's creating a lot of engagement. Anytime that you have a 3D home tour on your listing, you will get a logo, a little image that says 3D home tour on the listing, which makes it stick out even more.
We have another question here. Fantastic. So Karen asked, thank you for your answer. However, if I get a buyer lead on another listing and they want a video, the video provided is branded with the other agent's info. Is there a version that the listing agent can send me without their branding?
Good question, Karen. Okay. And this must be a follow-up to the previous question, so more than happy to clarify. So if you get a buyer lead on another listing and they want a video, the video provided is branded with the other agent's information. The branding of the video, it's going to be up to the listing agent. And essentially, like, we cannot, we at Zillow, we don't have a way to remove any brandings on any videos that are currently out there or are currently sent to you from the listing agent. But this is where you can show your expertise to the buyer and essentially say that, explain that you are the buyer's agent and you are the one representing buyers and there to help them. But there's not a way for us to remove the branding on that particular listing agent's video.
Perfect. Thanks for clarifying that. So I mentioned before, we will send you all a recap email. We'll include some additional resources in there for you, a way to reach us, as well as a link to this recording so you can play it back if you didn't have a chance to take notes or if you wanted to dive deeper on some of the topics covered earlier. So expect to hear from us in the next day or two with that. And we're so grateful for you joining us today. So thank you all.
Yeah, and yes, I'm going to piggyback off of what Emily just said. I hope you all found this session very valuable. We'll be sending a survey after this training, so please make sure you fill it out, give us feedback on what you want to see in future trainings. And from all of us at Zillow Group, thank you so much for your partnership. We hope you and your loved ones are safe and healthy, and we'll see you again soon.